Welcome to another episode of our Inner Sparks featured stories. I am Lily Yan, your host of this podcast and founder of our Inner Sparks Network, a network of ordinary women sharing our extraordinary stories to inspire and empower each other and others. Women take ourselves for granted and do not often give ourselves credits or see our own values. We must celebrate our successes, help support, and inspire each other. In this episode, we'll be chatting with Tammy Robb, an educator of young minds. She has been a teacher and a school administrator for the past few years and is specialized in Montessori education. Tammy was the first teacher both my son and daughter had when they were between the age of 3 to 6. My kids still have very fond memories of their Montessori days with Tammy, who is still one of their favorite teachers of all time. Tammy taught all her students very well. The influence of her Montessori teaching is still evident in her past students' lives today as they flourish into adolescence. Tammy is passionate about early year education. She opened her own private school in 2010. The last 9 years have been the most challenging and rewarding years in Tammy's life. Tammy's Morningside Montessori School in Cambridge received Reader's Choice Award in the categories of private school and learning center for several years. I'm so happy she's able to join us today and share with all of us what motivates her in her journey to strive for the best in early year child education. Hi, Tammy. Welcome. Thank you so much for sharing your story with all of us today.
Thank you for having me.
I know you have been so dedicated in early child education. We're going to get right into it. And before we do that, can you give us a little bit of an idea who Tammy is?
Well, I'm a mom. I have a 9-year-old who keeps me quite busy. I have a husband, and I own my own business. I own and operate Morningside Montessori School here in Cambridge. I love to travel. I enjoy, the outdoors and children and helping them develop.
That's awesome. Let's talk about that. What motivated you to become an early year educator in the first place?
Well, after graduating Conestoga College from the early childhood program, I had the opportunity to working a Montessori school in the region as an assistant, as an early childhood educator assistant. When I began there, I really had a great experience. I had the opportunity to work with children, and I found that it was my calling. I knew as soon as I stepped into the classroom that this is where I needed to be. It was really my first impression of Montessori, and I was under the guidance of a really great, experienced and trained Montessori teacher. So I had a wonderful first step at getting my toes wet, I guess, into the Montessori field. And then I worked there, I think it was approximately about a year at a local school. And then I said, no, I want more. I want to go to the Montessori teacher training in Toronto, the Association for Montessori International. That's really how I started.
Right. So you use the word Montessori quite a bit in the introduction and here. What is Montessori anyway?
Well, for me, it's a lifestyle. A short definition would be it's a different type of learning that helps supports children's independence. It really focuses on hands-on learning, collaborative play. It's an enriched environment that allows each child to learn at their own pace. It allows them to engage in the activities willingly. The classroom is a prepared environment. It really focuses on meeting the needs of a child. The Trained Montessori Guide implements and guides each child through the Montessori materials to support the individual learning. It focuses on building self-reliance and independence skills within each child. It's really a home away from home. It's a small community where the children have the opportunity to grow at their own pace. And it's prepared, it's organized, and it's just a loving, caring environment that allows them to learn and grow.
I'm going to share a little bit of my own experience with it. And the first time I met you, I think, was a visit prior to my child being admitted into the school, Montessori school locally as well. I entered into the room and I was immediately greeted by a student.
Child, yeah.
You're right, a child who's like, I think at that time maybe 4 or 5, greeted me and at the door, welcomed me in, helped me seat, and brought me things to eat and drink. And it's just like you said, a way of living. So you're taught not only the academics, and I don't even want to call it academics because you're taught a way of thinking,
Right.
but it's also a way of living. And these kids are taught how to bring that almost generosity to others, not just to themselves, from taking care of themselves, but also taking care of others and taking care of the surrounding that they have.
Right.
Right?
Right. And that's why in Montessori we call the classroom a community. There's often, or should be likely, a 3-year age mix. We're speaking specifically of the CASA environment right now, so 2.5 to 6 years of age. Okay. Ideally, the older students, role model and show those younger children the ways. The younger children end up looking up to the older children and, having that inspiration of, wow, maybe one day I can get to do that activity if I keep practicing the ones that I'm working on. But a lot of emphasis is placed on grace and courtesy, respect for one another, respect for the environment, and care of the environment. Those are important things to teach young minds.
Yes.
And it's done in such a delicate way.
Yeah, and it's not spoken.
Right.
Right? And this is what impressed me most when I was there originally. It impressed me to see these kids are just so aware. And they're aware of their surrounding, and they're, like you say, they also model after each other. And when you're sitting there observing, because that's what that was, observing, right?
You were sitting in the observation chair.
Yes, I was in the observation chair and checking out the class, what it's like. It was a lot of, the soothing music.
Right.
And the kids are walking about in the room, checking out what they want to do next, and then pick something and then do it. You and other teachers walk around to assist them as they need.
Right.
But again, not through spoken words necessarily. Right? Can you talk about that a little bit?
A little bit. Well, the quiet nature of a classroom is not enforced. So that's a natural process that happens in the environment. So we're not walking around shushing the children. The children are so engaged often with the activities that sometimes they're just so engaged they're not up and about talking and moving about. They're sitting down concentrating on their activities, and there are a lot of collaborative materials in the classroom that the children can work on together as a group or with one another. But most often at this age group, the children are choosing individualized work. They want to sit down with a piece of material, work on it, and master their skills. So repetition in the Montessori classroom is gigantic. We encourage the children to repeat the activities at their will so that they can master the skills. They have those needs to, really challenge themselves and get ready for the next activity or, meet their goals that they're trying to get out of the activities, because it is prepared environment. The Montessori materials have a specific qualities that are incorporated into them that meet the needs of the children.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit about the environment. How would you say that it's different from a conventional school environment?
Very different on so many levels. That's a big question. I mean, it's a purpose-based environment that is prepared for the children with specific materials within it. It's supportive to having the children work with the materials, and it's done on an individual basis. So really our ideal goal in the classroom is to follow the child. So often Montessori, you will hear Montessorians saying, I will follow the child. It means really, if a child is interested in an activity, we will guide them towards that. If they do need a little bit of extra support with a certain part of the program, then we can also do that. So it's really following their development. The difference is really between conventional school and Montessori is that, in fact, yes, it's an individualized program.
Right. I felt that too with my own kids, and they were specifically, and I've seen them because I've observed after they enter the class, observed their own interest. And when I was there, they were doing what they were most proud of and what they enjoyed the most.
Right.
And you can see the joy out of doing something that they're so interested in and rewarded by successfully completing it. You can see that in their face. There is, like you said, it's because it's individualized. They may or may not go to some activities that they have challenges with.
Right.
How do you deal with that sometimes?
Observation. So a lot of the guide's responsibility is to observe the child, make notes, and try to figure out how can we engage them in that activity in a gentle way that isn't forceful, that allows them to still move on with their learning. So, for example, maybe one day I would show a child an activity and they said, "No, thank you, I don't want to repeat it." Well, that's okay. We'll try it another day. We'll put it back, try again. Maybe the next time I would take that lesson out maybe an older friend would sit down beside that child and show them. So there are different ways that we can, encourage the children. And it most often is a very delicate way so that we don't infringe on their self-respect and their
own desire.
goals, own desire to want to do it. Yes.
Yeah. It's nice to create that environment for them to learn that way. And I find it was very beneficial for my kids. And now they flourish in certain aspects, but they also know that they want to work on things that they're not actually really good at. And they have different strategy in encouraging themselves to do it.
Right.
Yeah. So I think definitely that's a benefit in learning from Montessori School itself. Okay, so let's talk about, what do you enjoy the most out of teaching at a Montessori school?
The connections, really. Like the connections I have with families, the connections I have with the children, and the success that the children receive after working within the environment, really. Like there's, to be responsible for, oh gosh, I'm getting emotional. Well, really, because it's very important for me to, make sure that the children have the best environment and they're cared for. And it is my passion. So I work hard every day at that.
And you can totally see that, when I was in the observation. I can totally see that. You are so embedded and invested in these children's development. You truly are there to kind of help them flourish. And that's why they're successful, because they can actually benefit from that genuine, passion.
Right, and it's important to me to share that passion with the community. So to have families come in, like when I have families come into the school and I provide them tours, I just love showcasing, this is Montessori, let's get the word out. It's amazing, it is different. It works for some families and it doesn't work for others, but that's okay as long as I have the opportunity to let them know Montessori can be an option for you.
Right.
It can be an option for anybody. And sometimes, there are some misconceptions out there about Montessori. It's rigid, it's structured, there's no discipline. Like, there's so much misconception going out. I always welcome families to come in to help educate them a little bit more about Montessori. And most often, 99% of the time, I give the tour to the families, and they really love the method and the style and the school and are happy to be part of it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say some misconceptions, like completely the opposite of what is being said, right? Right. So I'm glad, hopefully this podcast will help clear that out as well, based on what you described that environment is for the children. It is absolutely a wonderful place. And it's, like I said, it's not just studying the actual context of the material, but it's also studying how to be a part of a community and how to be respectful and all of the rest that comes with being alive in a world like we have, right? So how do we take care of each other? How do we take care of ourselves? It really teaches that without, like you said, forcefully. Doing it.
Well, for example, when you came, when parents visit the classroom, that is a lesson we show the child. Okay, if we have a guest coming to our classroom, what do we do? And we show them. We show them how to prepare a snack, cut up a little bit of a snack, put some cookies on a plate. We show them how to greet them in, and then we show them where to sit, and we give them the guidelines. If you're observing, we would like you to do this. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask me. And these are the children taking the lead. But that's purpose. We do that on purpose. It's an activity in the classroom, how we greet families into the classroom.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, yeah.
So obviously you've brought up how passionate you are and all that, and you enjoy teaching while you're teaching.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to ask, as you're creating this new school at the beginning, how did you transition and why did you transition? Because you enjoyed what you did.
Oh, I do, and I still do. Like, I might not be in the classroom right now. I am more in an administrative role. I started thinking about opening up my own school alongside with my husband when I was pregnant. I started to think, okay, I'm going to have to go back to work. I love what I was doing, and I want to continue it. But I also knew then I had to say goodbye to my child. So I was in that parent position, right? Which was a whole new learning curve for me, because to say goodbye to my child and trust somebody else was, what I did. It's what I did. Like, I was on the receiving end of, helping parents through that transition, through all of my experience. And now all of a sudden I am that person. But because Montessori was my passion and my expertise, I really felt like I could do this. I said, I'm pregnant. I need a space for my child to be. I want my child to be close to me. And I also want to provide them the best environment that I can. And this is my expertise, so I'm just going for it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it led up to me wanting to open my own school. Really, it was for my daughter and to be close to her, but also provide her an environment which I know I could do.
Right. Well, isn't that a gift that when you are giving something this precious to a child and your own child, that you have the capability to make it happen? It's actually truly a blessing. That you can do this, because not all of us can take our profession and say, can then transfer that to for our kids and use that in that timing. But I think it's great that you are able to do it. It's great motivation, and you're able. And it's great that you're able to kind of make it happen. But I'm sure there's so many doubts at the beginning when you first started. You were a very successful teacher, so successful.
Right.
And then to go from that to opening your business, and it's a complete. And I want to bring up the word. It's not just a school; it's also a business. It's very different, right? A perspective from a teacher to now a school administrator.
Right.
Well, did you have those doubts? Whether it's you yourself said to yourself or others talked to you about that kind of made you doubt?
Well, in the beginning, I felt, I was still learning. Like, I knew I was a really great teacher, and I knew I could implement the Montessori philosophy well. I had some experience at Conestoga College with their business education, so I have a little bit of education. I did have some background in marketing and things like that. So that was a stepping stone for me. So I felt like, okay, maybe that will help me along my way.
Yeah.
So the doubts that I had in the beginning of opening my own business, they were there. I really wanted to do the best I could. I am a perfectionist, so starting your own business and not knowing everything right away, was a challenge.
It's scary, right?
Yeah, it's scary, yeah. But, so that was a little bit of a doubter for me. I was lucky enough to have my husband supporting me, and he was by my side.
Nice.
And he did do a lot of work with me to help with the opening of the business, because he does have a background in that as well, in business. So doubt, yes. Did it stop me from doing it? No.
So why? Because a lot of people, and I'm going to say this, because a lot of people think about great ideas for business and things that they are really good at and passionate about, and they want to turn into business, but then that action doesn't happen. So
I wasn't stuck, I tell you, because I think of the children, and I think of the opportunity I could provide them. And I wanted to share that, not only for my child, but for the community, like for Cambridge, like for the children and families of the community, because I'm an experienced teacher. I'd been working for many years. I know the success of the classroom, and I know the success of the children, and I know the experiences that they have. So that is really what pushed me, because if I can do this for my child, I think anybody could have have the opportunity to do it for their child. It was really the children and the success.
It's interesting
them.
You say that. It's really not about the money, because a lot of, right? It's,
no.
You're not looking at that business as a money thing from the from the beginning. It's about people and what you can give back. Right?
And I'm still like that to this day, which kind of on a business aspect can be frustrating for
some
others. for some. But seriously though, that's where the passion is. It's never about the money for me, and it won't be, because I'm just not that person. I am the person who really wants it to be right for the children and the community. And that's really it.
No, I agree. From the business side, you got to make sure that it's sustainable.
Right. We have employees. We have to make sure it's sustainable.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the strong force of the passion and
the purpose behind it.
Right, for sure.
And I love that. Sounds great. So I'm sure when you first started doing the school, you had a vision of what the school's like, what you wanted for the school.
Right.
In reality, is it the same or different now?
I had very high expectations. So, and there were challenges along the way.
Yeah.
I always envisioned having a small, quaint school. Yes, I have that now. I've succeeded with providing Montessori to the community. The school's size was important to me. I always wanted to have those connections with the families. I found if the school got too big, then I might not have that one-on-one personal touch that I want to have. And I think you should have when you are dealing with this age group and families, new parents. They look to us for support. Yeah. We need to be there for them, and we need to be organized and orderly, and we need to be able to have their trust. So those are important factors.
Yeah, so those are the things that top of your mind, that's what you wanted to see in your school.
Yes.
And you're realizing that in your current environment.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. What are some greatest challenges that you had, and how have you overcome that?
From the get-go, we've encountered many hurdles. Our journey began at a different location. After a lengthy search, we finally found the perfect site to operate our school. We were thrilled and began diligently working on preparing the space, hiring staff, purchasing materials, enrolling families. In the end, it turned out we were unable to operate at our intended location.
Why was that?
Some of the rules that when you open a child care center, there's a combination of policies and rules that we need to follow. Yeah. And it just ended up that space we weren't able to operate. That was a bit of a hurdle. So then we started searching for another location. Right. Through that process of us realizing, okay, this location isn't going to be allowable for us to operate in, I was doing some hiring, as I spoke about, because we needed teachers. So one of the teachers that I interviewed said, well, my current daycare is closing, and this is why I'm here, because I'm looking for a job. Right. And I said, oh, where is this location? And so it ended up, although the door was closed on us, with the current location that we had and it not working out, another had just opened. So as soon as this young lady in front of me, who I was hoping to get as an employee, shared that information, we went right over to the location that she told us about. And in fact, there was a child care center in the church. In the
current location.
And they were closing down, and it ended up that's where we are. So we are in Trillium United Church. They opened their arms to us, and although we're not affiliated with the church in any way, it's just been such a wonderful experience, and they helped us get over that hurdle, as well as our determination to make it work.
That's so awesome, though. Like you said, when one door closes,
another opens,
and opportunities are like that, and it's you keep on doing it and keep not letting that challenge kind of take you down, and not willing to take defeat, and you continue to plug at it. It just happens. Even on my journey, I've felt sometimes it's like you think you don't know what you're doing. You're going out there and you're doing all sorts of different things that you've never done before, and then you meet people who actually are experts, or somebody who's done something like this before, and they share the information with you, and it's like in my own journey lately, it's just been a blessing. So, like you said, some opportunities just kind of happen, and then if you are in that readiness to receive and to take on the challenge, to continue to proceed with your journey, it actually then comes into you, it's almost like you're attracting to it.
Right. Well, you can be defeated by challenges. And I tell you, I am not one to be defeated by a challenge. And still to this day, there are so many ups and downs of owning your own business. I won't surrender to being defeated. I know there's always a solution. I feel there's always a better way. I'll continue to work hard at making it the best it can be.
Yes.
So, I really am a true fighter, and I don't give up easily. I always seem to find the good in any situation. So
you just said a whole lot of really great things. And I think that's what makes you successful, right? Is that having that positive outlook and willingness to continue and not give up on the purpose and the passion that you have. Yeah.
True. And sometimes in those moments of if I do encounter moments of doubt, I do seek back or search back to some of the mentors have just given me a few, open doors to help us get started. Like in the beginning of our business, there were a couple of people in our circle that really made a difference at helping us. And I just remember their words. Like I remember one specific individual saying, and I still get emotional because I don't.
Because it's so valuable to you. Because these are the things that you can, like you said, you go back to when you're in that difficult time.
Right. And I'm an emotion, like I'm just one of those emotional people. And it's because I care about it and I love it. But he looked at me and he said, "Tammy, opening your own business is going to be the hardest thing you ever do." And he looked at me and I looked at him because he knows he was in business for many years.
Right.
He said, there's so many ups and downs and, are you sure you're ready? Because you need to be ready for this because it's going to change everything in your world. And, I looked back at him and then he looked up at me thinking, wow, I can see this go-getter, but, she still is new, right? Yeah. And, he just, with just even that phrase, like it was encouraging to me because he said, I can do it. I know you can do it. And it was one of the hardest things for me to do. And it did change my life. And he was right. But it changed it in so many great ways.
That's right.
So, sure, we had hurdles, but we pushed through them. And we continue to. Any challenge that comes our way, it's just something that...
it's great to even have that confidence that person gave you and say, I can do it. I'm sure you can do it.
Right.
But really, you have to tell yourself, are you ready? Because it is going to be different. It is going to be hard. It's, and anyone going into this thinking that it's a utopia, that you have your own business. It's not going to happen. You're going to have hardship. But if you overcome it, it's so rewarding.
Yes. And the work that you put into it is so rewarding once you get through it. Like, sure, we've had so many late nights. And when I opened my school, I was still a new mom as well. So on top of that, being a new mom and opening a business, I'm not sure what I was thinking, but it ended up working out. I mean, really, it was a big endeavor. And like I said, without the support of my husband and my family and my friends, they also had a part in this as well. So
that's great. It sounded like you had a great support system, and that's always helpful in when you're starting something, an adventure like this, having that support there and knowing, and like you said, they don't even have to be even spoken. It's just being there. And that if you needed somebody to lean on, they're there. So even the mentor, that one sentence, and you can go back to. That's great. In your mind, what is the quality that you have that you think have made a difference in the journey that would help you to grow and succeed in this?
Well, honesty, number one. Like, I feel like if you're not honest about what you're doing, it kind of coincides with my passion. Like, I'm honest, determination, strength. Those qualities really help me get through to where I am today. Trusting people, other people, your surroundings, your colleagues, your mentors, your family. Trust your intuition. If your gut is telling you something, listen to it. And experience now we've been operating the school for 9 years.
Yeah.
Experience has taught me to trust my gut.
Very good. I think as a business person, that's very important.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, and this is why I want to bring up a little bit about what stops people going to do business when they're passionate and when they have a dream, but then yet they don't take the steps.
Right.
I think it's sometimes that not following their gut, also looking at the challenge as in, these are all the hurdles I have to go through. I'm not sure if I can do it. And that readiness may not be there. Whatever it is. And I think sometimes it's just trusting that.
Right.
Yeah. Move forward. Right. Take one step at a time.
One step at a time. You can be easily overwhelmed. And certainly there have been times where I've been completely overwhelmed. But you have to break it down. You have to understand you are only in control of certain situations. You only have the power to do what you are doing. You can't control the other people around you. You make decisions for yourself or what you're representing. Right. And that's where, stay true to your goals. You stay true to the principles that you've set out to achieve. And, sure, along the way, there's going to be doubters. And there's going to be people that don't believe in you or, want to ruffle your feathers a bit, but that's okay. That kind of comes with it. You just have to persevere and understand if you are doing the best that you can do in an honest, tactful way with purpose, then you can succeed. Really?
That's very well said. Because I think we sometimes get overwhelmed with things that's happening and noise that's around us. We forget that, staying true and staying focused on what your purpose and break it down. I really like that lesson. Take that big goal and purpose and break it into small parts that are manageable so you don't feel overwhelmed.
Exactly. And writing it down. Don't keep it in your head. Like, to me, we had charts everywhere, webs of this and that all over, just so that we could visually see it. I mean, here's the Montessori in me, every style of learning.
It's about education here.
Right. Well, we can visually see it, we can feel it by tactily, but it's important to understand. It's a big endeavor, but it doesn't mean it can't be done.
Yeah. That's excellent. So in the last 9 years, sounds like you've gone through a lot, but it's also been very rewarding.
Absolutely.
And your school has been voted Best Learning Center and the best private school in the region in Reader's Choice Award. What is that like for you? And when you first received it, what were your thoughts after
hard.
opening?
To be honest, first of all, I mean, that is a team effort. Any of those rewards, and certainly we don't do what we do for rewards, honestly. So this is me. Like, okay, it's a plaque on the wall, but it just showcases the effort that the teachers and the staff and the administration put towards providing an environment that now is noticed by the customers, the parents, the families.
These are the people that are voting for
it.
Right.
Yeah. So those are the community is voting for us, and really when it feels great. It is something that feels good, and it just helps validate, we are on the right path.
Yeah, I like that.
Really.
It is really a validation that you've set out with a purpose, and now you are actually achieving that through the feedback that you get.
And I say when it was hard in the beginning because this Montessori method and the teachings and opening our own school, it's so what I feel like I've been meant to do. Sometimes it's just like it's hard to accept a gift, right? So that's where I go with it. Like it's rewarding, but at the same time, sometimes I have a hard time accepting that success because I'm like, wow, is this real? Like all this hard work, this is part of it, right?
Right. Isn't it amazing though? Like when you really work at it, you got your purpose in mind and you keep on working towards that, and then you see these feedback and awards come in and validating it. And I think it's just the recognition that you've not by yourself but by others, that you've now achieved the really higher purpose that you were set out to do. So rewarding. So for me then, I'm asking, has Tammy reached her destination?
Well, I mean,
What's next?
I've reached the goal of opening a school and being successful in the community and having those relationships with parents and families and the children.
Yeah.
I've reached those goals. I don't know what else comes next for me. I'm not sure. So I'm structured in the way of I'm very much of a planner. I like to know what's happening next.
Yeah.
I need to have the information in front of me. But I'm also very open to new opportunities.
Right.
If I see a door, I'm not one to walk by. Like I'll often go in, open, check it out.
Right.
So have I reached my final destination? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
You know, I'll
I think staying open is great. Like, I mean, that's right. That's whole part of being in the business as well, because you never know what's going to come.
You know, when I opened the school in the beginning, I was teaching, I was administrating, I was doing everything, like everything at once.
Yeah.
Now I'm able to take a little bit of a step back. I'm not teaching, I'm not in the classroom, but right now I'm taking an administrative role and I'm able to lead the group. So I guess moving forward, my goals would be understanding leadership, human resourcing,
Yes.
how I can lead the group the best way I can now that I'm full in it.
Right. That's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I think going through improvement, going through personal development in itself is rewarding. Yeah. Do you have goals to expand the school or have another school?
At this point, no, not at this point. For business, that would be ideal. But I like the small. I like the quaint. I like the personal. I just don't ever want to lose that. And I feel if I expand at this point in my life, it might be too much for me. It might be stretching too much. And I don't want to lose connections.
Yeah.
So, but it could come down the path.
You're open.
I'm
flexible.
open.
Yeah.
I just at this point.
Yeah.
I'd say no. Yeah.
Cool. Very good. Well, you know what you want. So
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so we're going to get into a segment called In Search of True Fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
In this segment, we are going to keep these answers relatively short, about 10 seconds or a sentence.
Okay.
So there's 3 questions, and we'll just run through them, okay? Number 1, how do you define success?
Well, setting a goal and achieving it really is how.
As simple as that.
Yeah, that's it. That was an easy one for me.
Well, yeah, you know what? And that's difficult for a lot of people because setting a goal is easy, but achieving it is, takes that discipline and action. Yeah.
Well, in my
Very
world,
good.
that's how I would define it.
Love
yeah.
it. What makes you happy, and how do you define happiness?
Well, through family and friends, success with my business and my personal life.
You're very happy right now. Yes.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that someone can take away from this story, from our episode today, to ignite and harvest their own inner sparks, what would it be?
Try. Keep trying. You can do it. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You can do it. Keep trying. There's always a solution to a hurdle. And count on your family and friends and your support team if you doubt yourself, because there's really no mountain too high that you can't reach, for sure.
Yeah, and it happens, like when you will have those doubts and those low moments.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good that, good suggestion.
And the other thing is to accept it. If you're having doubt, that's okay, maybe for a reason. But write it down and figure out the solutions to those doubts.
Right.
There's always an answer that will help you move forward.
And get support
often.
when you can't come up with it. Because sometimes, and for me too, like when I have a problem, I talk to somebody I know that may have an expertise in that area. And they're like, have you thought about this, Lily? And I go, oh. Well,
feedback is
Yeah,
huge. Yes.
So I think knowing who to reach out to and receive the support.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tammy,
You're
for
welcome.
sharing your story today. I wish you all the best with
Thank
Morningside Montessori School and continued development of all your leadership skills as well.
Thank you.
And school information is going to be on our podcast description. So if anyone who's interested, feel free to contact Tammy.
Yes.
And Tammy, you're so inspirational.
Thank you.
This has been a great story for me to even listen to and learn from, because as I'm starting my own journey, I need those like you said, those little tidbits that I can
Right.
actually use as I cross those challenges. And
Sure.
thank you so much. And I
You're
hope
welcome.
others who hear your story will also decide to take actions in their own life to help feed their passion and dream. And then, like you said, keep trying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your thoughts on this episode is encouraged on all our social media sites, which are listed in the podcast description. We'll have some engaging questions on the social media sites about topics touched upon within this podcast, where you can interact with one another. Feel free to share your own related experiences, what you have learned from this podcast, and what you will take away as actions. While we understand not everyone will agree on each topic, please always exercise mutual respect as we interact with one another. This network is a safe place for everyone to learn and grow. If you have any feedback on this podcast, the social media sites, and this network as a whole, please feel free to email me at ourinnersparks@gmail.com. ourinnersparks@gmail.com. Should you or someone in your life have an inspiring story you would like to see shared in our network, please feel free to email me with a nomination for future features. Again, the email is ourinnersparks@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of Our Inner Sparks Featured Stories.